All right, hello and welcome to the midday news on VOP TV. I'm Moses Humphrey. First, the headlines. Defense headquarters dismisses coup claim in Nigeria. Describe it as a figment of imagination. President Tinubu constitutes Economic Advisory Council to tackle hardship. NLT insists a nationwide protest. Threatens total shutdown if members are attacked. And now the news in detail. We'll begin the midday news with the defense headquarters debunking the rumor of an alleged coup and describing it as a figment of the imagination. There have been reports claiming the Guards Brigade is on high alert in Nigeria. It also claimed that the development prompted an emergency meeting between President Bola Tinubu and the commander of the Guards Brigade. But in a statement, the acting director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, said the claims are malicious and unfounded. Brigadier General Gusau says the Guards Brigade has been statutorily assigned the responsibility of protecting the seat of power, which is the presidency, and by extension, the Federal Capital Territory and its environs, and so it is always on high alert. He added that Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, in a recent time, reiterated the commitment of members of the armed forces of Nigeria to the protection and sustenance of democracy in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu has constituted an economic advisory committee as part of his measures to tackle the ongoing hardship in the country. The committee comprises the federal government, subnationals, and the private sector. The constitution of the committee followed a meeting between the private sector attended by President of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, Chairman of Boa Group, Abdul Samad Rabiu, Chairman of the United Bank for Africa, UBA, Tony Elumelu, among other Nigerian business moguls. Governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, and Dakwa Abiodun, his Ogun State counterpart, were also part of the meeting. President Tinubu, while speaking at the meeting, said the goal of the meeting was to provide additional efforts in stabilizing the economy and ensuring the best economic future for Nigerians. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the 2023 election, Atiku Abubakar, has asked President Bola Tinubu to emulate the economic reforms embarked upon by the leader of Argentina, Javier Milei, to take Nigeria out of the woods. Atiku, a former vice president of Nigeria, said this in a post on his X handle on Sunday. He said that while the leadership of Nigeria and Argentina inherited a disoriented economy, both applied different measures to recovery. The PDP chieftain stated that even though PDP chieftain stated that even though President Javier Milei of Argentina inherited a worse condition than Nigeria, what he did to return his country to a place where investors are starting to believe should serve as a lesson to Nigeria's Bola Tinubu. The vice president said Nigeria is where it is because of what President Tinubu has done or did not do. The National Institute of Credit Administration, NICA, has expressed optimism that the policy initiatives of President Bola Tinubu are capable of revamping the economy. In a statement issued by the Chief Executive Officer of NICA, Professor Chris Onalo, he said the economy will develop faster as productivity will be increased. The emergence of cottage industries, informal and below informal sectors, as well as small and medium enterprises as the mainstream of the economy will combine to define Nigeria's new economic order. Professor Onalo encouraged a new economic dimension that will promote credit availability to individuals and businesses so as to increase capacity for productivity in the economy. He explained that a national credit guarantee system that is fully funded by the government will help to promote credit accessibility. The Ogun State government has said it is not giving out money to any person or group of persons as palliative. Thus, it has asked members of the public to disregard any post on social media suggesting that the state government was giving out 10,000 naira cash palliative per person across the state. In a statement, Mr. Kayode Akinmade, the special advisor on media and communications to the governor, dismissed the message as a scam and urged the residents of the state not to fall for it. It states that the government had been providing financial support and other empowerment to enable traders, artisans, women, youths, and other beneficiaries to improve their enterprises and establish themselves as self-reliant individuals. The government warned residents not to access or provide personal information through the link provided by the said scam post. From Ogun State to Osun State and Edo State, where members of civil society organizations, CSOs, have poured into the streets over the economic hardship in the country. Edo civil society organization members are out on a peaceful protest, seeking an end to the suffering and hunger in Nigeria. The protesters marched from King Square to Akpakpava Road and carried placards with diverse inscriptions. CSOs also stormed the streets of Osogbo, the capital city of Osun State, carrying placards with inscriptions such as "End Economic Hardship" and "FG, End the Hunger in Nigeria Now," to drum home their point. Despite the growing concerns about the economy, President Tinubu has repeatedly called for patience to allow his reforms to take effect, saying they will help attract foreign investment in the country. Ahead of its two-day protest beginning tomorrow, the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has threatened to shut down its services all over the country if Labour members are attacked during the protest. Labour, in a statement on Sunday signed by its president, Joe Ajero, says there is no going back on the planned industrial action. The NLC says the federal government must put on its thinking cap and implement its agreement with the organized labor, as well as address the mounting economic crisis of survival in Nigeria. Nigeria is battling rising inflation, food inflation, forex crisis, economic hardship, and high cost of living occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy, attracting protest in parts of the country. Despite subtle pressure from the government for the group not to embark on the planned strike, the NLC says its members won't be cowed to shelve their proposed nationwide protest. Meanwhile, a civil society organization, the Lagos People's Assembly, in collaboration with Defend Lagos Coalition, have asked organized labor to shelve tomorrow's protest in the interest of national peace and progress. It called for continued dialogue with the federal government in order to avert further hardship on Nigerians. The spokesperson of the coalition, Comrade Nelson Ekujimi, made the remark during a media briefing titled "Constructive Engagement is the Way Out of Our Economic Challenges in Lagos." Comrade Ekujimi said that the protest would have adverse effects on the citizens who depend on daily income for survival. Mr. Ekujimi said the removal of the fuel subsidy regime by President Bola Tinubu's administration and the unification of the forex system were inevitable, noting that there are the only alternative to terminating the hemorrhaging of the economy. You're still watching the Midday News on VOP TV. More stories after the break. Welcome back. Pope Francis has expressed worries over the rising kidnappings in Nigeria, describing them as concerning. He is also praying that efforts to contain the menace yield positive fruit as much as possible. His comment comes on the heels of the rising cases of kidnapping in several parts of Nigeria, noting that abductors have laid siege to many parts of the country, kidnapping people for ransom. Some others have also been killed by the abductors, prompting police authorities in Nigeria to launch a crackdown on the criminals. The Pope noted in his X account that the increasing frequent kidnappings in Nigeria are extremely concerning. He is quoted as saying, "I express my closeness in prayer to the Nigerian people, hoping that efforts will be made to contain the spread of these incidents as much as possible." He therefore prayed for the country, noting that a better future lies ahead of Nigeria. Now, the Department of State Services operatives have beefed up security inside and outside the Federal High Court in Abuja, as the court is expected to commence the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, today. The matter was suspended after the Court of Appeal discharged and acquitted Kanu in October 2022. The appellate court also declared illegal and unlawful the abduction of Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria and quashed the terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government. However, the federal government appealed against the judgment at the Apex Court. The Supreme Court, in its judgment on December 15, 2023, ordered the continuation of the trial of Kanu on terrorism charges. Kanu has been in DSS detention since June 2021, when he was repatriated from Kenya to Nigeria. So politics now. The Labour Party faction in Edo State have announced the emergence of a United Kingdom-based legal practitioner, Hilton Idahosa, as the party's third factional governorship candidate. Ahead of the September 21, 2024 governorship election in Edo State, the Labour Party had on Friday conducted its primary. The Labour Party, under the leadership of Julius Abure as national chairman, produced a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olumide Akpata, as the winner of the LP governorship ticket. However, the leadership crisis rocking the Labour Party at the national level reared its ugly head again, as the factional national chairman of the party, Lamidi Apapa, announced the conduct of a parallel governorship primary and named Anderson Asemote as the Edo LP governorship candidate and Monday Mawa as his running mate. The national chairman says that the true position will be made known in the coming days, as his team is in dialogue with the leaders in the state to bring peace and solidarity to the party. Still in Edo State, the acting chairman of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Jarrett Tenebe, says his efforts are now geared towards fostering unity in the party following the rancor generated in the party over its just concluded governorship primary. The first governorship primary, conducted on February 17, was cancelled after it threw up 3 winners. The national leadership of the APC had to order a rerun of the primary and replaced Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma as the chairman of the Electoral Committee, with the governor of Cross River State, Basi Otu. In the rerun governorship primary conducted by Otu last Thursday, Senator Monday Okpebolo emerged as the winner. Amidst all controversies, Jarrett Tenebe, however, affirmed that the party is making moves to set up a reconciliation committee to bring everybody together, because that is what is needed at this time to promote unity in the party, he's quoted as saying. In other news, in Kano State, the state government has inaugurated a task force committee on illegal structures and assets recovery. Inaugurating the committee, the managing director of Kano State Urban Planning and Development Authority, Mr. Ibrahim Adamu, pointed out that the committee was in line with the present administration's commitment to making Kano #1 in terms of town planning. The development is confirmed in a statement signed by the Public Relations Officer of the Urban Planning Authority, Bahija Malam Kabara. He described the proliferation of unregistered private layouts being carved out and sold without the authorities' approval, warning that the state government will take appropriate legal action against violators. Alhaji Junaid Abdullahi was appointed as the chairman of the committee, while members included all directors and representatives of private layout companies. Now, speaking on behalf of the committee, Junaid Abdullahi expressed the readiness to work tirelessly to achieve the desired goals. The chairman also urged the public to always contact ward heads, district heads, and other stakeholders before purchasing land and properties. You're still watching the Midday News on VOP TV. More stories after the break. Stay with us. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) proposes limiting cash payments for buying and selling foreign currencies by bureau de change operators to a maximum of $500, with payments above this amount to be done digitally. The move aims to enhance transparency and reduce the informal economy's influence on foreign exchange transactions. CBN's proposed regulatory changes also include increased minimum share capital requirements for BDC operators, signaling a broader overhaul of the sector's operations. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) plans to raise the minimum share capital for bureau de change operators to 2 billion naira for Tier 1 licenses and 500 million naira for Tier 2 licenses, a significant increase from the previous requirement of 35 million naira. The proposed changes aim to strengthen the financial capacity and regulatory oversight of BDCs, ensuring compliance with international standards and mitigating risks in the foreign exchange market. BDC operators are expected to adapt to the new regulatory framework, which includes stringent capital requirements and licensing conditions. The Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria (ABCON) have expressed concern over proposed regulatory changes by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN), including increased minimum share capital requirements and mandatory caution deposits for BDC operators. ABCON President Aminu Gwadabe suggests that members may consider mergers to meet the new capital requirements, emphasizing the need for industry input and collaboration with regulators to ensure a balanced regulatory framework. The proposed changes prompted discussions among BDC operators as industry consolidation and regulatory compliance. Finance Minister Mr. Wale Adun has revealed that approximately 5% of Nigerians have more than 500,000 naira in their bank accounts, highlighting economic disparities and the need for inclusive growth strategies. Edu emphasized the government's commitment to rectifying imbalances that favor a small elite, aiming to redirect government revenue towards benefiting the majority of Nigerians. Microeconomic reforms seek to address liquidity imbalances and ensure economic recovery reaches all segments of society, providing hope and reassurance to Nigerians amid challenging economic conditions. We'll now take a break. When we come back, we'll be dishing out sports stories. The head coach of the Super Falcons, Randy Waldrum, says his team is firmly focused on beating the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon. The former African champions held the Lionesses to a 0-0 draw in the first leg on Friday. The reverse fixture is scheduled for the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, on Monday, which, of course, is today. Waldrum said their objective is to secure a place in the final round. The overall winner will face either South Africa or Tanzania in the final round. Nigeria's D Tigers suffered their third consecutive defeat at the AfroBasket 2025 qualifiers in Tunisia after losing to Cape Verde in their Group B game on Sunday. Going into the game on the back of defeats against Libya and Uganda, the Tigers succumbed to a 78-62 loss, while the Tigers will take on Libya in the second window of the AfroBasket qualifiers on 21st February 2025. The team also did not partake in the qualifiers due to lack of funds and played all their three qualifiers with only 9 players. The AfroBasket 2025 qualification will be played from February to November 2024 to determine the 16 nations who will qualify for the FIBA AfroBasket 2025. And that's it on the midday news on VOP TV. But before we go, a recap of the major headlines. Defense Headquarters dismisses coup claim in Nigeria, describe it as a figment of the imagination. President Tinubu constitutes Economic Advisory Council to tackle hardship. NLC insists on nationwide protest, threatens total shutdown if members are attacked. Well, don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It's at Voice of the People TV. And on all the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. And I am Moses Humphrey. Good afternoon.